this is an experiment in democracy, and that's what the process group is doing. We're trying to figure out how it is that we can work together and come to decisions together. And if you're interested in that process, come join the process group. Also, we make the agenda. So if you have an agenda item that you want brought up, like a proposal, you want to come talk to us or come to a process meeting. The next process meeting will be at 12 o'clock here tomorrow. Yeah.
Hi there. I'm one of several Salt Springers that made our way over. Yeah. And I don't know if you all know, but actually Salt Spring has its own money. And that's one way to strengthen our own local economy and encourage interdependence between each other, is if we agree to honor the currency that exists here between us, between what we have already, in our own hands. There's a couple of tools that I wanted to bring to people's awareness, because we've been talking about needing to be the change, and it's like, well, what can I do? Because I mean, the financial system is the system that controls most aspects of our lives. So I just want to tell you a couple things. So one is local currency. Another is the LETS system. There is one in Victoria. Look it up. Victoria LETS, L-E-T-S. It's a local exchange trading system. If you have something, a skill or a resource to trade with someone, you can sign up on the LETS and you can become a member and you can receive services and goods and trade points. And also there's this wonderful thing called a gift circle. And that's really where I think the future is, as Sally Sunshine was talking about, where we are actually supporting each other in a community. And a gift circle is a group of people coming together to share their needs and share their resources. And essentially, you sit in a circle and you go around once and you all share what it is that you may have to offer anyone in that circle. And then you go around again and you ask for what you need. It's amazing, isn't it? I've been to one of these, and it was incredible to see the ways that people were able to connect out of nowhere. They were relative strangers, but you know, hearing someone else saying, "Oh, I have a real need for someone who's capable of doing X," and hey, I'm actually able to do that, and it feels good to help. So those are the kinds of things that we need to start encouraging and exploring. And if you're interested in the gift circle, there is one happening tomorrow night. So. You go to the Transition website, transitionvictoria.ca, and look up the gift circle, and yeah, make stuff and do stuff for yourself. That's it.
Thank you. Up next we have Ian. Is there an Ian in the crowd?
Hello. Hi there today. I just want to say, well, I'd like to acknowledge again, it bears repeating, this is Lekwungen lands. This is a city that is occupying Lekwungen lands, and we are people occupying a city in Lekwungen lands. And I'd like to acknowledge the Lekwungen people. I've actually been welcomed here from Lekwungen people and given permission to live here and conduct my life in their lands. And when we talk about things about colonialism and colonization, it's not a passive understanding, in order to address that. It takes action daily. It takes awareness, and it takes a willful challenging of all the things that you have been taught, all of the things that you think you know right now, and all of the things that is still working its way into this system as we speak. This process of consensus, even, all of it. I'm not standing up here talking out my butt. I've spent a lot of time learning about colonization, colonialism, imperialism, and I understand how the structures of domination have been built and how they're maintained from a colonial perspective. I only bring that to the table. That's all. I'm not telling you it is the issue. It's not. There are many issues. Everybody has an issue here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So I just wanted to say that and put that out there. I'd also like to thank and acknowledge the organizers who have spent so many hours getting together and to prepare this space in order to allow us and to encourage us to participate in something which is very rare. We're actually doing something. So I'd like to thank and acknowledge them. One other thing too, I'm going to try to keep this short. My friends are probably like, yeah, right. But I'd like to thank the cooks. In my culture and in many Indigenous cultures, it's kind of a sacred and honorable. It's a sacred honor to be able to provide food for people. You know, it's a process. When you prepare food for people, you put your energy into it. And if you're thinking good things, you put that good energy into here. And by the looks of everybody around here, they were thinking some pretty good thoughts when they put that food together for us. So I'd like to thank them for that. I guess one last thing. I had the privilege. No, not the privilege. I just exercised my right this morning when I went down to the legislature and took part in the other discussion that was going on down there. I spent about 5 days fighting various racist comments that came from people who were supposedly trying to dictate what the issues are without allowing me the legitimacy to speak. And I'm not bitter about that, but what I am is I'm grateful for this opportunity here to be able to talk about Indigenous issues, colonization, and I have your attention. So I really do thank you all. So I guess with that, you know, I think there should be a working group established in order to ensure that the respectful continuation of all of these solutions that are being offered and honored, while they are good and good intended, that they receive at least a bit of, a bit of questioning, I guess, in a way of like where they come from, what ideologies they exhibit, you know. So Euro-Westernism is an ism. Just putting that out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I just want to say that all the things we're talking about here, everything is very important, needs to be said, but it's really an easy sell to bring those things to this kind of a crowd because we all seem to be a little bit more aware than some of our friends and fellow citizens who are quote-unquote asleep. And I think the next step is to try and talk to not only your friends and your relatives, but just everyday other people that you encounter on the street, and just try and provoke some critical thinking in them, just to think about some of the stuff that's going on that maybe they would have never looked outside of their little bubble or whatever. And until we reach that next step of incorporating more of the population, then we can't actually have a direct democracy because we don't have enough of the piece of the pie for it to be realistic. So I know it's hard for some people to try and talk to people that maybe they don't think it's comfortable, but that step needs to happen so that we can have our next step of conscious evolution and towards peace and unity and love. And that's all I gotta say.
Well, we've all got a lot of different issues that have brought us here. We have a lot of collective concerns, and we've talked a lot about that. We've heard a lot about that. But what I haven't heard are concerns about rights and freedoms. And that's really the foundation that everything else rests on. All the abuses that people are concerned about, all the tyranny that people are concerned about, the oppression that people are concerned about, none of that would be able to happen if we lived in a place that had respect for individual rights and individual freedoms. And when I say rights and freedoms, I don't mean something that's written on a piece of paper somewhere. I mean the rights and freedoms that you were born with. A right is not something that somebody gives you. A right is something that no one can take away from you. And so when it comes to individual rights, that's the respect that we need to have. If we can come together and make decisions and create changes in an environment that respects individual rights, then we can create that direct democracy without turning it into a mob rule. Because without respect for individual rights, the collective will always just roll over the individual like a steamroller. And we don't want that. We don't want to be rolled over by the collective any more than we want to be rolled over by the man. So think about individual rights and freedoms. Your right to live, your right to do what you think is right, your right to be left alone. All those things that are being trampled by big government and big business, by the incestuous nest of snakes that's made up of people who control this country, the entire world, and slowly, bit by bit, are starting to take away the rights and freedoms that you were born with. So those are the issues that underlie all the other problems that we're here thinking about, because none of those things could happen if we were still respecting individual rights and freedoms. So that's the thought that I'd like to put out there, and I'd like everybody to think very carefully about what do we need to do to put the system back in a mode where it protects the individual rights and freedoms, where every individual's rights and freedoms are equally protected. And that's what we need to do, where people's right to stand up for themselves is respected.